Hi, you're watching Doug McCann of RealityMe.net, also KO4 NFA, that's Kilo Oscar 4 November Foxtrot Alpha, and on GMRS I'm Whiskey Romeo Mike Juliet 225, that's WRMJ 225. Those are call signs for radios. So I didn't bring a GMRS radio for this one, but this is a ham radio. And so is this. This is a Baofeng, lesser expensive radio. This happens to be their RD5R. Thank you, Radiolity, for providing this one for me. I won this in a contest that they did. Get a radio for a friend, good friend of mine, put me in for that one. I used this for digital mobile radio communications, DMR, which means that this antenna sends to basically a router that I have connected to the internet downstairs. So it's not like that's a different topic. We're not going to talk about that right now. What I want to talk about is what you can do with these radios. AT&T just went out, had an outage, and everybody was flipping out, and there were all kinds of different ways to communicate. But this is one way you could communicate if the phone systems go down. Because as long as this antenna can see another antenna, you can get a signal from this to that. Now that means there's challenges. You can't just buy one of these and unwrap it from the packaging and start using it like you could a cell phone. You have to know how to work with it. You have to understand a little bit about the science of radio waves and electromagnetism and all this kind of stuff. You have to know how to program it. You have to know what signals to put in. And I'm not discussing the radio today, but what I wanted to show you was that the antenna can come off. So here's an antenna, and it connects. This one happens to be SMA female. This is SMA male. And what you can do with this is, if I transmitted right now, radio operators don't broadcast, they transmit. If you transmitted right now without the antenna, you could pump 5 watts of power from this radio into nothing and it would melt the radio. You have to have an antenna connected when you're transmitting. Technically, you don't have to have one to receive, but it helps. But you connect this little rubber ducky antenna to it, and this radio, so this happens to be a Yaesu FT5DR. Very capable radio, and I'm still learning how to use it. One of my goals has been to use this radio to listen in to the International Space Station and hopefully make contact to it. Now, if you go out to the website that tells you how to communicate with the International Space Station, there's a note on there that says most they recommend a 25 watt radio. That's a different device. That's something like a mobile radio you would get to go in your car. You can get those that transmit up to 100 watts of power. Usually 50, I think. The 50 is like GMRS would be limited to 50, but you don't need that much power. Plenty of people use these 5 watt radios to talk to satellites and to talk to the astronauts. 10 watts of power would be better. This radio is not going to do that. 15 watts is sufficient. You don't really need 25, 50, or even more wattage to get to those low orbit things. But how do you do it? You can't do it with this antenna. You need a Yagi, a directional antenna. And that's what's in this packet. This is the Aero 2 model 146/43710 WBP. It means it's a backpacking antenna. I bought it came with this, I bought this separately, but it's got a roll-up carrier, and each of these pieces is going to go in here. Then this can go in my backpack. With that radio, I can hike to the top of the mountain and communicate. The other benefits of this is a dual band radio. It's tuned for both 2 meters and 70 centimeters, the 440 megahertz band. And And this is the little tuning rod in there. You can actually put an antenna analyzer on here and fine tune it. These shafts are actually aluminum arrow shafts. So I'm really looking forward to putting this together. I bought a couple of adapters from Arrow Antenna just to make my life easier, because I wasn't sure what I would need to connect these BNC connectors to my different radios. So I got both a BNC male to SMA male, and I've got a BNC which has these two little knobs off of it, kind of goes up there, and it has this bayonet connector to it. It's called a bayonet connector. It goes and twists and it's locked in, and it goes to SMA female. And then this is a guaranteed no hassle refund policy. If you're not completely satisfied, you can return it for a full refund in 90 days. Assembly time should be about 2 minutes. Elements made from aluminum arrow shafts. The Arrow 2 cross-polarized dual antenna is ideal for satellite communications, and get this, fox hunting. So in the world of radio, fox hunting is when you hide a transmitter somewhere. Let's say you've got a bad player who constantly is interrupting communications in your area. You want to find them? You can use a directional antenna like this to track down that signal and file an FCC report against them or whatever. Or it's just a game. They do points. A lot of times you'll go out with a hidden transmitter in a park or something, and ham radio operators will track it down. And so I'm excited. Not only will I be able to talk to satellites with this, but I will be able to I'll be able to do some fox hunting exercises in the area. I'm looking forward to that. Matter of fact, that might be what pushes me into joining some of the local clubs. Half a sec, I gotta get some scissors. All right, so 2-minute assembly, they say. I wonder if there's assembly instructions in here. So we're going to pull out, let's pull out the arrow shafts first. Oh, those are pretty. I like the purple color. It matches the bag. All right, here is one piece of the aerial. And I don't know all the technical terms. Oh, yeah, so let's talk a little bit about duplexers. So one of the things that really helps with satellite is having what's called a full duplex radio. That means, like, this one has an A channel and a B channel. You can only transmit on one at a time, but you should be able to hear on both. So you should be able to transmit on 2 megahertz, which is what you transmit up to the ISS with. So in 2 megahertz, you transmit up. But on your other channel, you're listening with 70 centimeter, 440 megahertz, and it's coming, that's the signal from the space station down. So having 2 channels, but if you have full duplex, what you can hear on the second channel is you transmitting on the first. Because what will happen is as your signal goes up, it's a repeater that sends back down what you said on the other channel. So 2 meters is UHF, VHF, and 70 centimeters is UHF. So it's very high frequencies on 2 meters, ultra high frequency on 70 centimeters. I don't believe this is a full duplex radio. Full duplex radio would have basically 2 radios in one little package. So I'm going to probably end up getting one of those mobile 50-watt full duplex radios. Before, I never understood why I would want a radio that's dedicated to 2 meter and 70 centimeter that doesn't include DMR radio or all the other fancy features of these radios, but there's a reason. And I watched it on a video the other day for someone working satellites. They have this kind of dedicated radio that's focused on the 2 meter band and the 70 centimeter at full duplex. So it's going both ways at the same time. And it really kind of had, it was an epiphany, one of those moments where you're like, oh, I get it. Now I understand why somebody would put money into one of those radios. And that's like any hobby you get into, you tend to collect different things. You end up, certain things grow, like in the computer realm. Power cords, just don't know where they come from. All right, so this, duplexers. What I was talking about was this has in the handle a duplexer, which means that both the 70 centimeter and 2 meter aspects of this is basically two antennas. It's a 2 meter antenna and a 70 centimeter antenna. Both of them come into a little circuit board that's in this handle called a duplexer. That duplexer knows, since you only have one antenna here, this antenna connects there, and the duplexer knows which signal to pass through. I'm oversimplifying it, but essentially you're taking two antennas and bringing it into one. These are the two pieces that'll connect to the right spots on the arrow. This is the piece that goes to your radio. You hold it like this up in the sky. Clearly this piece is going to go, I haven't read the instructions, so I'm hesitant to do this. So this piece is, I'm going to read the instructions before I put it together, but this piece is going to go on there, and then you're going to point it up at the sky. You're going to track the antenna, and underneath of this foam, there's supposed to be a 1/4-inch mount that you can put on a tripod. So you could just set this on a tripod, move the tripod, and then you get really fancy. You get this satellite tracking motor that you use for telescopes. Even the 10-inch telescope, the antique 10-inch telescope I have downstairs, has a motor on it that if you identify two spots in the sky, it will track celestial objects. Well, you can get these motor mounts in computers now, and there's a database of all the satellites, and your antenna will automatically track the satellite passing over the sky so that you can focus on the radio operations. Really freaking cool. And then, of course, this is designed to go in your backpack so that once you, it breaks down into a small package so that you can carry it out to remote areas. Very nice. I like what they've done here. All right. Oh, wait. There's the instructions. Let's actually put it together. There are instructions. All right, so this is a 3 elements for VHF, 7 elements for UHF. VHF being the 440 megahertz band, and UHF the 2 meter. So 70 centimeters and 2 meters. It's only 19 ounces. Boom is 3/4 inch square. This is 37.5 inches long. 2 inline gamma matches not shown are pre-assembled and pre-tuned. 1 connector for VHF, 1 for UHF. These are BNC only. Contact information, assembly instructions, breakdown of the specifics for the tuning. I do not have an antenna tuner, so I hope that they are correct. I'll have an antenna tuner one day, and again, you adjust it by sliding this bar up and down. So I mean, you should be able to tune it just by using, it's math. So you should be able to do that, but there's other factors that go into it: the cable, the ground planes, what's around you. Here's all the pieces, the parts list. The antenna is pre-tuned and ready to go. There's a circuit diagram for the duplexer. 45 inches of coax to the radio. It's RG58 coax with a stranded center conductor. That's typical because it's lightweight, it's flexible. Here's maximum power is 10 watts. This is important. It's 10 watts if you're holding it by hand, because beyond that, it's not safe to hold it by hand. If you wanted to mount it on a tripod, you could take the duplexer is limited to 10 watts. So you can pull the duplexer out of it. And then once you pull the duplexer out, these two wires will be available to plug into to two radios or a more powerful duplexer. You can get a duplexer that goes up 50, 75 watts, 100 watts. I looked at one from Comet for about 50 watts. But these two would come out. This and then you could mount it on a tripod, and this is supposed to support up to, oh shoot, what was it? I think the spec on it's like 50 watts. Don't quote me on that. I know you can get a lot more wattage through this antenna if you're not holding it in your hand. And if you're not using the duplexer that's built into it. But that's all I'm ever going to do. I'm never going to exceed 10 watts on this one, because I like the duplexer being mounted in the handle. The only thing I don't see here is, I don't see how, I mean, I'd have to remove the foam, and the tripod's an issue for me. So I may end up just getting some PVC pipe and building my own tripod. Let's see. So we slide it together, and then how does it work? So we've got got it. So I'm going to need a ruler. Here's the element spacing. Okay, why don't we start off with oh wow, look at all that. I like how he's packaged this. All right. These are beautiful. There's the tuned part. So this is where the wire's going to go. So let's see what we've got. It says on the element spacing. So it looks like we've got, let's see if we can put these in order of length. So it looks like you've got one long one, then you've got the tuned piece, then everything else is the same size. And so we'll start off unscrewing these. Oh, okay, I see what he's done. Okay, I'm going to make sure that's tight in there. It is. And then I'm going to bring this through. This is the 1, 2, 3, so that's going to be the VHF side. So that's the 2 meter. And so we're working on the UHF side, so we're working on the 70 centimeter. And I'm going to separate the wires there and put this all the way through. And then take this piece. Oh, these are beautiful. And I'm going to screw it all the way till it tightens, snugs up. Nice. Okay, so the next piece that'll go in will be, I'm gonna do it like this. So the next piece that goes in will be this tunable piece. And so what we'll do is take that out. I don't know which side he's got it screwed into. Okay. We'll come through here. We want the BNC connector to the wire. So we'll just snug this up. Neatness counts in all things. So I want to make that nice, snug. And now what I can do is I can take this BNC connector and slide it right on there. That bayonet connector is going to want to line up with those two knobby things. So you line them up there, and once they're there, you just snap it over, and that's secure. Nice, nice. Man, he has done a fine job with putting this together. All right, the rest of them are all the same sizes, so let's see. Maybe I can do it like this. Is there really one that close? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Wow. Okay, so this one's loose, so I'm going to make sure that that goes in all the way first. And then slide it through. Remember, instructions said assembly in 2 minutes. I would say that's 2 minutes after you know what you're doing, because really this isn't that hard. All right, that's snug. This one you've got to line up with the hole drilled in the pipe. Let's make sure that it's there. Wow, that's oh, I got to twist to get it lined up right. Whoo, I might have to re-drill that one. I'm not sure that that's... I'm going to not strip this. All right, it goes through. You just have to, it's a tight fit. There it is. All right, so if you're having trouble getting that one on, take it apart and pull it back together again. Because this, when I finally got it lined up right, not only does it look better right here, that went in much smoother. All right. So this is the UHF side, the radio. That's 70 centimeters, 440 megahertz. take 440, take 300 as an approximation for the speed of light. Divide your frequency, 300 by your frequency, and you'll get your band. So let's say we were working on the VHF, very high frequency, 2 meters. So that would be 300 divided by 147, which is approximately 2, gets you your 2 meters. So 300 divided by 440 is going to get you something below 1. And if you make your conversion, that's how you get 70 centimeters. All right, so starting to look like an antenna. Next, we're going to come in and do the UHF side. So the UHF side. Now, if you think about, if you want to understand the math behind all this, some of the science, waves, you remember from math class, a sine wave, where the wave goes up and then it comes down and it goes up and it comes down. The spacing of those waves, one cycle of that wave, is what we're talking about when we say 70 centimeters or 2 meters. That's how large that wave is. Anything that is shorter than half the distance of that wave is invisible to the radio. So for instance, if I'm communicating at 2 meters and my antenna is shorter than 1 meter, then theoretically that wave will go right past that antenna. Oh, but you want to call me out on this, because clearly this antenna that's no bigger than my hand is shorter than 1 meter. So how is this picking up 2 meter radio waves, or even 70 centimeter radio waves? And that has to do with harmonics and the tuning and the number of raps and hears, and it gets into a technical level that I'm not there yet. I'm studying, I'm reading up on it, but I'm not to the point where I could explain it. All right, let's get on to this. So next we have this other cable here, and I've run it this way. So I think the best way to do this is going to be to have this one under here. Ooh, how am I going to do this? I'm going to turn it around this way. Aren't you going to have the same problem? No, you're not. Okay, so there. We're going to do it like that. And I think the best way to do this for neatness is to have it this way, and then that BNC connector will line right up. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and put that BNC connector on. Then I'm going to grab one that has a screw. These are all the same length, I think. No, they aren't. Shoot. This is why I got the ruler out. Let's see. That one's too short. Okay, there's the shorts. These are all different sizes. Wow, I've got so much learning to do. Okay, so those two are paired. Those two are paired, so that one must be... Yes, okay. So that's going to go through there. Let's make sure that's tight. That's going to go through there, screw into that hole. Again, we're just going to finger tighten it. I did something wrong. There. Didn't have my threads lined up right. Okay, so that one's snug up there. Now, now the 146 side, I've been saying 147. So this has to be element spacing. 125 inches. Which one goes where? Okay. The driven element should be the longest. Yeah, sure enough. Look, there's long, medium, short. Because the driven element should be the longest. And the driven element is what goes back here. This is your reflector. This is the signal comes in, and these are what. Anyhow, let's get the longest one on the back side. So I'm going to come all the way through here. I'm going to make sure this is tight. I'm going to come all the way through. And I bet the instructions are correct. After I've done this once or twice, I bet you it's a 2-minute setup. And you just have to remember your longest elements in the back, and then these are all the same size, these 5. This one's a little longer, this one's the longest, because that's your reflector. Same with this, longest one in the back, shortest one in the front. This is loose, so I'm going to tighten that. Slide it through. Now I live in a valley, so it's very hard for this radio to get signal out to the repeaters and whatnot. And I will pick up the repeaters, hear them fine, but my signal to the repeaters is weak. This antenna is a directional antenna, so I'll be able to point it at the repeaters, and I'll be able to talk on the nets and do better even though I'm in the valley. There's the antenna. That is a Yagi antenna that will let me talk to the International Space Station, let me do fox hunting, find hidden transmitters, and allow me to also talk to the repeaters in my local area better. Now, this BNC connector will not work with this SMA female adapter. Those are 2 different adapters. So we have to have this adapter . So that's SMA female, that's SMA male. That one has a hole in the middle, that one has a little stubby thing in the middle. And it literally just screws on here. And once you get into ham radio, any kind of radio, GMRS, FRS, well, FRS you don't. FRS are fixed antennas. But once you get into any radio that you can change antennas out, you're going to end up with a bunch of adapters like this, which looks cool. But they can actually affect noise and stuff on the radio. You want to avoid having too many of these. So there it is. Now the radio is connected to the antenna. All I have to do is go point it up in the sky. Woohoo! Now we're cooking.